All right, we're going to be talking about translating inequalities and meaning the symbols. So if you look at it right here, it says at least means greater than or equal to. So that's going to be that right there. No more than means less than or equal to. More than means greater than, and then less than means less than. Now, a couple things up here, if you look at it, it says at least. It could also mean at most, and then the sign would flip. And then the one below it says no more than. It could also be no less than, and then the sign would flip. Okay, now we come over here to what I'm boxing in right now. When you do the word problems, most of the time you're going to be able to put it into y equals mx plus b. Well, meaning that's kind of the equation or the inequality. Obviously, it won't be an equal sign. It'll be an inequality sign. But it will be the type of formula that you're going to be plugging the numbers into. And I switched them around because it makes the math easier. So instead of y equals mx plus b, I put mx plus b equals y. Now, the mx is where the number that's going to be the rate in your problem. The b is always your initial value or your starting point, and then y is your total. All right? So let's go ahead and get through it. So number one, it says, I'm going to blow it up just a little bit. Keith has $500 in a savings account at the beginning of the summer. So at the beginning of the summer, that should kind of be a hint like that might be an initial value. All right, so let's read on. He wants to have at least $200 in the account by the end of the summer. He withdraws or takes out $25 a week. Now, the rate is generally the easiest one to spot. So if you look at this, it says he withdraws or takes out $25 a week. So meaning $25, another word could be per week. So that would be our rate, would be the 25. Now, it says he withdraws, so it's actually going to be negative 25x. All right? Now, we need to find the initial value. So, meaning our b. So what would be the initial value? Well, at the beginning it says Keith has $500 in a savings account at the beginning of the summer. So that would be your initial value. Now, for the inequality, okay, it says he wants to have at least $200 in the account by the end of the summer. At least. Well, if you go back here and you find your at least in your keywords, you see that it's a greater than or equal to sign. And then, obviously, by process of elimination, $200 is your total. Then what you do, solve it. Subtract, you get negative 25, whoops, you get negative 25x is greater than or equal to negative 300. Okay, and then you're going to divide by negative 25. Remember, when you divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. So it's going to be x is less than or equal to 12. Okay, so that's going to be 12 weeks. So that's how many weeks, all right, that he can withdraw $25. All right, number two. Uber charges $1.75 flat rate. Okay, anytime you see the words flat rate, that's generally an initial value. So let's read on. In addition to 65 cents per mile. So obviously that one is going to be your rate because it says per mile. And then obviously the $1.75 is your flat rate. Now, Katie has no more than, well, if you look up your keywords, that's less than or equal to, no more than $10 to spend. Write an inequality we just did that represents the mileage. So now we solve it. So subtract 175. Okay, we get 0.65x is less than or equal to. And then we have 10 minus 1.75, which is going to be 8.25. And then last but not least, divide by 0.65. And we get 12.7 if you round it up. Okay, so x is less than or equal to 12.7. Now, it says that Uber charges $1.75 flat rate in addition to 65 cents per mile. Katie has no more than $10 to spend. Okay, write an inequality that represents the possible mileage. So if Katie can go about 12.7 miles, okay, so really what's the actual mileage that she can go? Okay, probably 12 miles would be about what she can go, but if you're talking exact 12.7 miles is what she'll be able to go. All right, number 3. Chris wants to order movies from Disney. Okay, each movie costs $15.99. So each movie costs, so that's a rate, so 15.99x. The subscription service costs $12.99. Chris has at most $100 to spend. So the subscription would be what he has to pay before he can even rent a movie. So that's obviously going to be your initial value, or your initial initial value, or initial starting point. And then Chris has at most, well, if you go up here to the keywords, you see that it says at least, and you have greater than or equal to. At most would be sign flip to less than or equal to $100. All right. And then it says, write an inequality represents Chris' situation. We just did. Can Chris order 5 movies? All right. So obviously we need to solve it. So we'll take 100 and then we will subtract it. We will get 8701. Drop down the 15.99x. So I'm going to move this over so I got some room. So 1599x less than or equal to 87.01. You're going to divide by 1599. So 87.01 divided by 1599 is going to equal 5.4. So x is less than or equal to 5.4. So 5.4 movies would be about what Chris can rent. Now, you're not going to rent 0.4 movies, okay? It's asking, can Chris rent 5 movies? Okay, well, if we want 5 movies, we would put 5 in for x. Does that make sense? Is 5 less than or equal to 5.4? Yeah, of course, because Chris technically could rent 5.4 movies. Well, he's not going to rent 0.4 movies, but he can rent 5 movies. So the answer is yes, he can rent 5 movies, okay, to this question right here. All right, number 4. It says, Stargate charges a flat rate. So there's those words again, flat rate. All right, so we're assuming that's going to be an initial value to rent the stadium for the birthday party. I don't know if that's supposed to be stadium. I don't have any idea. Okay, They also charge, so there's a couple typos in here. I didn't make this, but we'll just roll with it. They also charged $5.50 per party guest. So that's obviously going to be the rate, $5.50. And the flat rate is $50, the initial value. Your mom has a budget of less than, okay? Well, less than obviously is less than. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Less than $120 for your party. Write an inequality. Well, we just did. What is an example of a possible number of party guests? All right, so obviously we need to solve it. We're going to subtract 50. We'll get 5.50. X is less than 70. And then divide by 5.5. So we have 70 divided by 5.5, which is going to be 12.7. Okay? X is less than 12.7. All right? Well, I don't know how you can invite a 0.7 of a person. So how many party guests can they invite to the skate party? You can invite 12 total guests, okay? Because you're not going to invite 0.7 guests. So 12 party guests. That would be the closest number below your amount that you got. So 12 party guests is what you can invite. All right, number 5. This one's a little bit different. You don't actually have a rate in this one. So right here it says your baseball team has a goal to collect at least 160 blankets for a shelter. Team members brought 42 blankets on Monday, 65 blankets on Wednesday. Write and solve an inequality to find out how many blankets the team must donate on Friday to make or exceed their goal. All right? So your baseball team has to collect at least, okay, so that's obviously going to be greater than or equal to 160. So that's the total right there, 160. Okay? And I actually forgot to write the answer on this one, 12.7 miles. Circle it. All right. And if you wanted to round it to the nearest mile for this one, it would actually be 12 miles. All right. So back to number 5. Okay. So we've got the total, which is 160. Now there is no rate. So what it's telling us is it's telling us they brought 42 blankets on Monday. 65 blankets on Wednesday. And then we have blankets to donate on Friday, but we don't really know what that is. So if we don't know what Friday is, it becomes X. All right, so now we've got our inequality. We need to combine like terms here. So that's going to be 107 plus X. It's greater than or equal to 160. Subtract 107, and we get X is greater than or equal to 53. All right? So they must donate, okay, 53 or more blankets to reach their goal. All right, so there's the inequality word problems. All right, on to the translate and solve. So on this one right here, you've got really only 4 choices when you start looking at these. Addition, subtraction, okay, multiplication, and division. So on number 1, you've got twice a number. Anytime you see the word twice a number or 3 times a number, it's talking about multiplying times a number. What number? Well, we don't know. So that's where you get a letter, meaning like X or B or A. So twice a number is going to be 2x. Plus 4. Well, that's pretty easy. Plus 4. And then is 8. Is means equals. So equals 8. And then obviously if you solve it, okay, you get 2x equals 4 divided by 2. X is 2. All right, on to number 2. The product of 4 and a number. Product means multiplication. Of 4 and a number that we don't know, so that's going to be 4x, plus 17 is 5. Remember, is means equals. Okay, so we'll subtract 17. We get 4x equals negative 12 divided by 4. X equals negative 3. All right, number 3. Twice a number, well, there it is again, so we know that that's 2x. Minus 5 is 7. Pretty much tells us what to do. Okay, so here we'll add 5. We get 2x equals 12 divided by 2. X equals 6. Math is not hard. It's just writing down the problem. Now, the next one, number 4. The quotient. Quotient means division. The quotient of a number and 6. A number that we don't know. So that's x. So division. Okay, so the quotient of a number and 6 minus 3 is 1. So equals 1. Well, this is pretty simple. Add 3. We get x over 6 equals 4. How do you get rid of the bottom of the fraction? Multiply by the bottom of the fraction. So 24 is your answer. Number 5. 2 more than 4 times a number. So we know that 4 times a number is 4x. Okay, that's pretty simple. 2 more than. So basically it's saying whatever this is, 4x plus 2, because it's 2 more than. So 2 more than 4 times a number. Is means equals negative 18. Now if it said 2 less than, it would have been minus 2. But since it said 2 more than, it's plus 2. So now we solve it, which is the easy part. We get 4x equals negative 20 divided by 4. X equals negative 5. Number 6. 7 less than twice a number. So we know that twice a number is 2x because we've seen that 2 times already. 7 less than. So we know that it's going to be minus 7. Okay, because it says 7 less than is 5. All right, so let's add 7. We get 2x equals 12. And then once again, the answer is 6. And you can rewind this if I'm going too fast for you. Number 7. 5 less than the quotient. Well, there's that word, quotient. Okay, that means division. The quotient of a number and 3. So we know that quotient of a number and 3. 5 less than, so we know it's minus 5. And we know is equals and negative 7. So there's our equation. And then solving it is easy. It's just a 2-step problem. So x over 3 equals, that's going to be negative 2. And then how do you get rid of the bottom of a fraction? You multiply, so x equals negative 6. All right, number 8. 1 subtracted from the product of 4 and a number. So 4 and a number, the product of 4 and a number is 4x. 1 subtracted from, so minus 1, is equals, and then 11. So we're going to add 1. 4x equals 12. Divide by 4. X equals 3 would be our answer. Number 9, the quotient. Now, this is for some reason, I don't know why they have a negative q here. Okay, I'm just going to change that to a -1, all right, for it to make sense. So we're going to say that that is a -1, okay? Maybe that was a typo. So the quotient of a number and -1, so obviously that right there, increased by 10 is 11. Bam. So obviously we'll subtract 10. And that's 1. How do you get rid of the number on the bottom of a fraction? Multiply by the number on the bottom of the fraction. 1 times -1 is -1. Last one. Half of a number. So that means 1/2 x, decreased by 8 is -3. All right, so we're going to add 8. We get 1/2 x equals 5. Anytime that you divide by a fraction, you flip and multiply on the other side. So x equals 10 over 1, or just 10. So here is your translate and solved at a glance. Here's your word problems at a glance. And that would be translating inequalities.